Why does the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago matter to you? It's a former president. God willing, he will be the next president of the United States as well. But the idea that federal police can raid the ostensibly opposition leader in America in such a way that even his wife, Melania, feels violated after armed agents go through her wardrobe. Well, it's more than just about politics and the president. As we witnessed recently with the raid on the house of the Houck family, a pro-life activist, Mark Houck, who had a misdemeanor charged against him dropped, was assaulted by 24 FBI agents with loaded rifles pointed at his wife as his 7 children were screaming. That's not a president or a former president. That's just an average US citizen. And perhaps most shocking of all is the North Dakota case of Kyler Ellingson, who was mowed down, who was murdered because he's a young conservative by that man, Shannon Brandt, who admitted that he did it because that young man is a Trump supporter. And he walked out of the jail on a $50,000 bail. How serious is the threat to MAGA conservatives, to the America First movement? Let's talk to a man who's just very recently written this piece in the Columbus Dispatch. He knows of what he speaks when it comes to political targeting. We are honored to have with us on the Gawker Reality Check none other than Donald Trump Jr. Don, welcome to Newsmax.
Good to be with you, Seb. Thanks.
So, Don, you didn't pull any punches at all in your article this week. You said that Tim Ryan, this politician, this congressman who wants to be a senator, when he labels supporters of your father, members of the America First movement, enemies of the state, he's following in the footsteps of Biden when he's saying that we are the threat. How serious, how concerned are you that this murder, for example, this murder of Kyler Ellingson, won't be the last type of event we witness in America, given how the Democrats are behaving?
Well, 100%, Seb. You saw the speech that Joe Biden gave amidst that sort of fascist red background, the draconian language labeling anyone who voted for Trump, meaning 75 million Americans, the greatest threat to freedom and democracy. And then you have Rep. Tim Ryan, who wants to be a senator in Ohio. He pretends to be MAGA when it's convenient because he understands that's where Ohio is, but he's just a radical leftist like Joe Biden. To quote him, we have to kill and confront that movement, Seb. Kill and confront the Make America Great Again movement. I mean, you would think that someone who'd be running for office would want to make America great. That certainly is the approach he's taking to the people of Ohio. But when he says and calls MAGA Republicans extremists and that we have to kill and confront that movement, of course it leads to this kind of violence. When Joe Biden does that and an 18-year-old is murdered in cold blood, run down by a car, the media is silent. Seb, what do you think the media would be doing if the driver of that car, if Brandt was a MAGA hat wearing Republican going after some, 12-color purple-haired extremist on the radical left? This would be the biggest story in America. Don, we would hear nothing of anything else for weeks at a time if the roles were reversed. But because the media at this point has decided that they are, in fact, the enemy of the people, that they will, in fact, stay silent as long as you're a radical extremist murdering people in the name of what they believe, it seems, they're going to stay quiet. Joe Biden will stay silent. The media won't question what's going on here. The media will certainly not draw a conclusion and say that, well, Joe Biden's speech 2 weeks ago led to this kind of thing, as they would have done if any conservative gave a speech even remotely, even close to the extreme speech that Joe Biden gave, because that's the America that we live in. That's Joe Biden's America. This guise of unity garbage that we keep hearing from, there's no intention for unity. They have labeled half the country radical extremists, the greatest threat to freedom and democracy. Not the people who rioted, murdered, loot, arson, all that stuff, during the BLM riots, those are great freedom-loving Americans. Those were peaceful protests, Seb. But an 18-year-old who happens to be a conservative can be run down in the streets of Wisconsin, and nothing to see here, folks. It's okay. There's a tacit acceptance, and it's disgusting, and it needs to stop.
Yeah, I don't need to hypothesize if the roles were reversed. We know what would happen. It wouldn't be weeks or months.
You know what would
years,
happen. We've seen it for years.
Well, in Charlottesville, Don.
You could.
You know what happened. I mean,
within minutes of the Charlottesville, he denounces it and denounces it and denounces it. And then 7 years later, when they ask him a question about, say, energy, oh my God, I can't believe he didn't lead with denouncing something that had nothing to do. It's disgusting. I'm watching the Washington Post right now, a few weeks before the midterms, running full cover, writing an article about the 7 reasons why the disastrous recession we're going through right now is probably good for you. I mean, that's what's happening. The media, big tech, all of them are colluding to be the marketing department of the Democrat Party. They'll stay silent where it's convenient. They'll lie about conservatives where they can do it, where they can move a needle to help the radical left regain more of a foothold in politics, a midterm that should be disastrous for the Democrats because the policies we're seeing are destroying our country. No one believes it's Joe Biden. When they have to, because they don't have a choice, it's so ridiculous, they'll throw him under the bus. But this is Democrat policy that we're seeing take effect. This is Democrat policy that's destroying your job, your livelihood, your family, your freedoms. And we see it day in and day out. That's what's going on right now. So I hope that people are waking up to the realities of the situation.